This is my snow-only world from a custom crate mod pack. Last time, I was making a forge, but I didn't have a way to get raw iron. It's time to fix this. Updating a modded world comes with a lot of issues, such as trains will just disappear. There's a whole bunch of problems that arise that I don't want to deal with. For now, it's going to be staying in this older version crate. I've been working on updating the mods, and part of the updates was adding back in these snowy beaches, so that way, under here, probably somewhere, treasure chests can now spawn. Before it was impossible, there is no biome, so you should be able to get Hearts of the Sea. To give myself a way to make iron, I have added a mod which is deep sea vent, although there is some issue going on with that in this mod pack. These are supposed to be underwater. Yep, here you can see another deep sea vent that's not quite in the sea. What this mod adds is a block that produces various of these different base crate materials that you can then crush down to their raw ingots or whatever. I've seen various builds for when someone's wanting to create an underwater mining machine, but they usually turn out to be some type of oil rig. I don't want to do that. I want to try something different. There's these things called, I think, drill ships. I want to try making one of those. I don't have much experience building ships. I think the last time I ever tried was probably back in 2013. I don't know how big this should be. This is going to be scaled down quite a bit from what it originally would be. Having the ship over some sea vent, trapped in the ice, maybe even covered in snow, could look fairly interesting. I'm going to try that. I finished the wool block out for this ship. It's not going to be wool. I'm going to change this out to be another material later. This is just for laying out the shapes, getting the idea. It would have probably looked better if I made it larger or more to scale, but this is how it turned out for now. I didn't know how to make this whole tower here. I tried. It's really hard making it out of blocks, but I tried having it so that it does as the other. I don't know what I'm gonna need to learn terms because I have no clue. The drill tower, yeah, drill tower, that's probably what that is. Each of these sea vents only produces this certain type of lock that it's for, which means not all of them would be under the same place. You can't move it with contraptions. So that does mean I'm gonna have to either make multiple of these ships, which I don't really want to do, or maybe have some way of just invisible belts underwater that you don't see and just have this as the main hub, which I'm probably gonna do that. You know, instead of just thinking about this and pondering it, I should just go look around the world and see what I actually have available. I'm looking around my world for a spot, and it needs to be an ocean that's nearby this whole rail system. It doesn't matter that these are old chunks. I can just delete these off the world file and then regenerate them, because I have nothing out anywhere out here except for in this specific area. This is my world opened up on MCA Selector. I've deleted chunks before, that's why it looks all weird around here, and it's just visual on this program, it's not in the actual world. Over here is the stuff I'm wanting to regenerate, which should be fairly simple, just selecting this region. You have to be careful about trees. I don't know about ice cliffs. I'm gonna have to go take a look at those, because when you regenerate chunks with trees, you get these lines, and I think I have like a few. You can probably see one right here. Because when I first made this world, I carved it all around the base since I redid the world generation. Hopefully that's not going to happen with all these glaciers. Yeah, right here, you can kind of see the seam in the chunks. That's far enough away that I don't really care if there's a line. So this is the new sandy beach biome. You can see this other line right here. This is a problem that I have whenever... This is the problem that appears whenever you delete chunks. It just spawns these... What? Oh, I got it. A surface thing? Okay. Well, good to know that that works. That's generating. And a cactus? Okay, everything's coming together now. I reached the zone where I'm wanting to put the boat. Oh, that's a cool cave. At least find someplace in the ice. Except I do need to check down for vents, and this is really dark. Okay, you could barely make out two of the vents here. Ooh, that's pretty. I want to make an underwater base sometime. I've mapped out the immediate area and then also gone looting, and it turns out I'm not too lucky. Each of these X's is a different type of vent, and there's only one crimsite over here and then all the way over here. As well as the copper, there's just those two all the way in the top corner. There's tons of this other scorchy stuff I don't really care. So it looks like the ship is going to be off somewhere in this area. I made ideas. I have an idea for what I can do with these vents. In order to get resources out of the vents, you need to pump lava right next to it. Then it just turns into whatever the block the vent's made out of. And I happened to come across this idea of, oh wait, what if I make it spinning, you know, like a drill, you know, like a drill for a drill. I thought that was a nice idea. I obviously I can only have one of these as this because the ship, I don't want to paste 5 ships around the map. I like this idea. I'm gonna stick with it. Let me make this look a little better. I've got the idea and the design refined. This thing's gonna be pumping lava from some infinite lava source down below. I'm wanting this whole thing to be in a single chunk, that way it can be chunk loaded without having any issues. Once the item vault gets full, this whole upper part gets stopped, including the drill and the chunk loader. The tall one's gonna be under the ship, maybe even higher than this, so that way it can be going through the center of the boat. You can't ever disassemble the drill or it will break the belt, but that's why I made it so it's only a belt. So it's not really consequential if the belt breaks, just put in another one. Underwater, I'm gonna have a train that just goes to each of these different stations and then fills the ship with the resources. So that way it's all centralized into one boat. I think that the crimsite vein should be around here somewhere. Yeah, okay, right over there. If I'm using the cheaty camera, is there any lava lakes? Ooh, not really. Okay, so I am gonna have to make my own. Before I even make the drills, I am gonna have to make my own lava lakes. Let me just check over at this other spot. I forgot diving suits were a thing. I've been struggling with trying to get air down here, so I've been, you know, sitting on magma blocks, standing indoors underneath. But Crate has back tanks I forgot to use. Would have been really helpful before I finished just about everything, but nah, I have it now. I have most of the drills up. I have one for copper, iron, and then one over there for zinc. I didn't do the gold one just yet. There was an issue. Apparently, these designs only work when they are in air, not submerged, so I had to encase it into a glass box. It is fully working, and then I'm getting a bunch of, oh, there goes my torch. Bunch of crimsite. I just need to set up a rail network to consolidate everything into one spot. Getting these large lava sources below was a big pain. I did not think it would take so long. And then you have the issue of water constantly flooding in and then turning it to obsidian. So I have to keep repumping in more every time I accidentally flood this place. I'm probably going to leave these pipes here. I don't know, looks kind of cool, and I maybe need to pump lava somewhere else in the future, and this just gives me some way that's already set up so I can move lava around. I did mix it up with a tall drill for the zinc. I don't know, I just want to test it out and see what that would be like. The gold vein is right over here, and I'm planning to have the ship above this one, just because it looked nicer there than out in the open. It sets the ship up against those icebergs. This is a spot that positions it right above the gold vein. I still need to do all the texturing. I should probably get to that right now, because that is the next step, getting the boat in place here. After, I'm going to need to set up the gold vein and get all the resources collected into here, so then I can move it out for them somewhere else. I don't know how I'm going to connect to the land. I haven't thought that yet. Maybe bridge, maybe a surface boat, something, I don't know. That's not really my concern right now, because I want to at least get this in place. But to do that, I am going to need to finish this design. The design be done. I made it look very weathered. It might be too much. I wanted it to look like it's been there for a while, like it's been stuck in the ice. So you can see all this water damage coming down from the top. And then along the bottom down here, I tried to make some sort of ice damaged look. This middle section was more colorful, but I turned it more gray because I wanted it to blend nice into itself, while keeping some splashes of color to draw your attention away, like those big orange pieces. There was supposed to be cranes on top of these, but I couldn't figure out a good design for that. I did have plans of like a bearing that having these sort of angled swiveled, but that might have to come later. The central tower here is where the drill is going to go. I'm going to remove this black wool in the actual world and then dig a hole through the bottom of this. It'll probably look just fine. Not sure, I haven't tested that. Oh yeah, one of the last details I found, I had this huge gray slab. I didn't know what to do, but then I came up with the idea of using the actual textures of the blocks so that you can get some kind of vent look. I'm probably going to use this a lot more because that filled it out really well. I've been considering how this is going to look in the snow, and one of the ideas I've had is perhaps covering this in like icicles on the side, or adding in more copycat details with the snow. Something like this. Oh, that's going to look really cool, actually. Imagine that all the way down the ship. Oh, I'm going to try that. But first, let me get the base ship into the world, which means I'm going to go through gathering resources for all this. Hopefully I didn't doom myself with the block choices I've had. There's only 12 pages here, but everything is under 1,000, so it's not gonna be too bad a gathering. I usually don't show what I do here, but I keep getting a fair few are skeptical whether I'm cheating and stuff or not. And that is fair because I usually cut this out completely since it's such a boring thing. Then suddenly I'm like, whoa, there's a huge amount of this resource I don't have that I suddenly just magically have the perfect number of. When you have a lot of stuff, it is fairly easy just to go through and run down a checklist of all the different resources you need. It's just time consuming. The difficult part is going to be getting all the stuff you can't grind out of a crushing wheel, because a lot of this stuff that I've been building with is stuff that comes from some kind of process crushing down stone. I've got most of the easy resources that I can grind out gathered. The rest of these are more convoluted, such as a red and orange dyes I'm going to need. I've been waiting around for wandering traders. I keep looking out just in case something spawns, but I haven't had any luck on something like rosebush yet. On top of this, I also have unique concretes. I think that these are from the factory Must Grow, and it's a slightly different process than normal concrete. Besides those two, I'm somehow going to need to gather 13 stacks of wool of these various colors. I think I'm just going to make a whole new set of farms in this tower down below, because I'm probably going to use those colors a lot more. All the resources have been gathered. This did take about 8 hours. Most of that time was spent building the new farms and waiting for them to actually produce stuff. The factory Must Grow concrete was a lot easier than I expected, and you can get a lot of it. I was avoiding it because I was unsure about the cost of actually making that and how much effort it'd be, but it's really simple once you make a big machine. It should be just about everything. I've gone through this whole checklist. Please tell me you didn't miss anything. How is there always more than what this list says? Ay, 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 ay. Okay, I'll be back, I guess. What happened here? Why are you not working? Okay, why is there so many items and nothing's... Really? This whole time I've been grinding out resources? This thing hasn't worked this whole time because somehow sand got in here. So I just been wasting stacks of this. I could have used that clay if it was just gonna get burnt up and waiting. Now this should be everything. I just have to head all the way back out there. I hope this is one of the last times I have to get out here. It's just such a journey. Even if there was a train line here, that's still several, like a minute or two just waiting so I can do stuff again. As default, these shaders are super dark at night. I brighten this up because I've usually been avoiding night times just because of how dark they are, and well, it's fine for me. It was too dark to upload it. All the ice spikes have been added in. I did have concerns that it might be too much because it does stick out quite a bit. There's something missing and I don't know what it is. Especially if you come up close, you could really see it just sticking out oddly as if I just pasted them onto the side, which I guess that is kind of what I did. After I finished the boat, before I did all the ice, it started snowing, and then I realized all the details on the floors was kind of pointless because the snow just covered it anyways. And I just went with it and covered everything in snow, made it textured, varied somewhat. I don't know why, but for some reason I forgot that this was a snow series. There's also useless wandering trader, he only had cabbages. I also tried to make the water ice down here more cracked glacier-like, but I couldn't find anything that worked. You probably do something better with copycats if you spend a lot of time on this, but I don't have an idea for how that could work out yet. The drill still needs to be placed in, it's just using these black placeholder blocks until I figure out how I want to actually get that done. I don't know what I'm going to do with this interior. Under all likelihood, it's not going to be decorated. It's probably going to be just for bulk storage, maybe even crushing down the resources I get from the drills. It's a bummer you can't really see the details I put into the whole of it. It all got covered up, so it's just a red stripe. But I think I'm pretty satisfied with how this turned out. There's definitely more that can be done with it, such as this ice, trying to fix and figure out what to do about the ice around the sides. Probably even lighting on the ship itself. I don't know if that's going to melt the snow layers. I don't remember if that does. Yeah, that adds to it. I need to do more lighting like that. I haven't focused on the lighting for almost any of the builds at all, just because when are you going to see it? Every time it's dark, I don't include that, or I just sleep the night away. It's probably all the time I have for this now. The last video was 76 days ago and counting. Yeah, I need to get this out. Next time I might be finishing this up, where I need to get all the resources from down there in the drills to the boat, and then off to the steel mill and have that eventually done. Or I might be working on another project. There's something else I also had my eye on that I've been wanting to do. As this stands right now, I guess that's it. See you in a year? I hope not. Oh dear.